You see, when the punch comes at you, there are many different ways that you can deal with this jab. See, for the most part, we use the punch. So when he comes in, I would park out and punch. Now, that is a very effective way on dealing with that incoming attack. But see, the beauty of using the knife hand is that when the punch comes in, and I'm still doing the park out, but then as I set up the knife hand, I can go in towards the neck, right? Now we're no longer going towards the face. So when I do the technique and I'm going towards the neck, now the step that you take, if you're a confident fighter and you step in really close, the same movement coming forward will end up being a forearm strike to the neck. Now, why is that important? Because if the person, as they punch, they step back, they move back, I can still reach them with that knife hand, right? So when I'm applying the technique, I want to make sure that I'm going towards the neck, not towards the face, and I'm shooting pretty much my whole forearm together with the knife hand, so that way, whether he's close or he's moving away from me, I can still reach him with that knife hand. Now, if you want to play the long game, using mainly your long bridge technique, you can do it from a distance from here, right? So as I'm doing the technique, I'm just keeping my distance. If you want to jam and get in close, you go boom, and now you're closing the gap when doing your same park dart technique. Now, when doing this, of course, you have to practice both sides. Now, whenever you work on it, you always have to keep in mind that as he comes in with that punch, right, Sean is protecting his face because he knows that he needs to cover the area he is exposed. But for the most part, when someone is committing to, say, for a 1-2, as I'm going in with that one, this one will come straight towards him. Okay? Now, it can go straight towards the neck, it can go towards the face, or you can even cover with the same movement. If he has great reflexes, and I'm shooting and he covers, intercepting. Do you see this? Right, as I'm doing it, he's intercepting. Now what can I do from here? If I still want to commit to the knife hand technique, you can just trap and then go, because as you all know, when working on your Wing Chun technique, it's almost like a chain reaction. When you see something stopping, intercepting, jamming, you can go around it, over it, under it. So that's what we do in this particular scenario. I'm going in, I'm committing, but he's stopping me. So then I can just trap and then follow up using the same knife hand technique. So I go one, boom, he stops, and then I just continue with my movement. I go one and then trap. I go one and then trap. When trapping, the idea is you want to try and use that lapsal to trap both his arms with one single technique and then follow up. Now, once you've done that, you're drilling both sides, you're drilling the different tempos, the different distances. Then from here, what happens if he decides to go low, right? If he goes low, you do the same movement. See, that's the beauty of how you start to apply these techniques. You don't really need to shift and change so many things. All you do is just cover low and then you follow up high. Now from here, because let's say you haven't fully committed to that technique because of the distance of the range is a little bit different. Then what you can do is just follow up with the rear hand. Boom, palm strike. And then you got in close to follow up with that knife hand. So let's say he came in low, boom. Then once you cover here, then you can switch. But as you switch, I got in a little bit closer and then you can follow up with that knife hand. Right, so when you're flowing and you're working up, boom, 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 and then you go. So it's pata here, and then follow up. You go one, boom, and then you follow up with that knife hand. In order for you to develop a good knife hand game, you need to work on it. You need to strengthen your hands and position them properly when wanting to apply the technique. So I'm going to show you how it is that I train my knife hand technique. So that way, when you're working on it, number one, your hand will be conditioned for the strike. Number two, you avoid getting hurt. And number three, if you don't have a training partner, you can still work on developing a good technique. You see, a lot of people, when they hit a target, I see that they bounce off the target. So the hand will just go and kind of have it bounce off. In my opinion, if you really want to strengthen your knife hand, you don't want to have it bounce off the target. You want to sink the hand into the target. Something a bit more like that, right? Now, why is that important? Number one, of course, you're conditioning the knife hand. Number two, you're learning how to dig the weight of the strike into the target. See, I'm not just having the hand strike and have it bounce off. I'm going in and sinking that elbow power, shoulder power into the target. And as you can see, when I'm working on it, I'm also using my knife hand together with the lapsal. So that way I can work on both defense and attack simultaneously. Now, the difference between striking the tire versus the wooden dummy is that obviously this will bounce, right? Your hand will come back at you. But the difference is I'm not just striking and bringing the hand, I'm digging, but the actual tire is pushing it away. So now when you're working on it, you want to also try to work on combinations. So you can go 1, 2, 3, you can go low, high, and then there, right? Now when doing it, now you can start to also work on the different angles and the different ranges and distances. So I can start fairly close, so digging high and then stepping away kind of like out of the line of attack. So it's a 1, a 2, and then I move out. It's a 1, a 2, then I move out. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Make sure you work on these techniques so that way you can develop a really strong knife hand for self-defense. If you haven't checked out my previous video on Wing Chun sparring, I highly suggest you check it out. I'll post the card up here. And don't forget, I've got a free introductory applied Wing Chun course. The link is down below. Check it out so that way you can train and take your Wing Chun to the next level. Okay guys, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one.